Hi, everyone. Sharon here with Max Senior. At our last session, several of you wanted information about Uber and Lyft and how to get it on your iPhones and how to be able to call for a ride. So I turned to Max Nunan, the ITKid, for help, and he's here with us again from Southern California. So take it away, Max.
It's very great to be back. Nice to do another session with you guys. And today we are going to be going over the Uber and Lyft apps, which are very helpful. I recommend everyone has at least one of them on their phone, if not both, and I'll explain the benefits of that as we get into it. So what you'll see here is I'm going to put my phone screen onto the screen for us here to look at. And what we're going to go over is essentially the sign-up process for both of the apps. And then we'll talk about how to actually use it once you're in. So both of them are very similar overall. We'll start with Uber. So when you download Uber from the App Store, and it's just like any other app, all you have to do is go to the App Store, search up Uber and download it. And it will look like this on your screen. It'll look like a little black icon with the Uber phrasing on it. You'll open this guy up and everyone will be greeted with this same screen that says, get started after saying move with safety. In order to start your sign up process, all you're going to do is press get started at the bottom down here, which will take you to this screen. And essentially your username for Uber, and this is the same with Lyft, is actually going to be your phone number. So while we're used to using our email address as our username for most other websites, Uber will actually use your phone number to identify your account. And so what I'm going to do here is put in my phone number. And the interesting part here is I actually already have an Uber account, so it's going to look a little bit different than when you guys do it, but this part at least will be the same. So you'll put in your phone number, just type it all the way out, then you'll press next, and then it's going to verify that you are the owner of that phone number by sending you a text message. And so I'm going to look at that text message. In my case, the text message that they sent me gave me the code 1671, which I type in there. And then all it will do is say, welcome to Uber. Now, if you're setting it up for the first time, at this point, it will ask you some basic information about yourself, such as your name, your age, your email address, and it will also give you the opportunity to add in a payment method. Now, you can do that either at that time or later inside of the app, but you will want to add in a payment method as soon as possible, as the app will not work until you do that. So adding a payment method will be either set up originally when you're going through it, or you can come into the settings up on the side here, where these three lines are. You can click and you can come into wallet and payment methods. If you don't have one already in there, you can come down to add payment method, and this will allow you to put in any variety. You can pay with Venmo, PayPal, which are both very helpful, or for most people, you'll end up adding in a credit or debit card up here. And you can put that in and that will save as your default payment method moving forward. So you definitely want to get that payment method in as soon as possible, either during setup or right when you're in the app. But when you get into the app after your account setup is done, this is what your home screen looks like. It'll give you all sorts of different options because Uber, aside from being a ride delivery service, also can deliver food or give you access to a bike or a scooter if you want to do that. And you can access that all from the same portion of the app here. So you can see towards the middle of my screen, we have the ride option, food option, 2 wheels would be for that bike or scooter. And then reserve is a very helpful function for if you know you're going to be taking a trip at a certain time, such as going to the airport, you can come in and reserve a ride in advance. And that works pretty successfully. Sometimes when there's low demand, it's harder for them to pair up a driver with you, but it definitely is a good idea if you know you're going to be going somewhere at a specific time. Now let's go over the very basic functionality of Uber, and it starts with hailing a ride. So as you can see down here, it says where to, and that is actually your search box for typing in the address that you would want to go to. So I'm in Southern California. Let's say I wanted to go to LAX, the Los Angeles airport. What I would do is click on where it says where to, and that's going to take me into this search box. it will always have your default starting location as your current location. And you can see that up there in the blue where it says current location. You will normally not want to change that. Normally you will want the phone to track where you are and send that information to the Uber driver who's going to be picking you up. But then, so you'll leave current location up there in blue, but what you are going to type in is your destination. So let's say I wanted to Uber to LAX right now. All I would do is type in LAX right here. And you can see it will show up with a whole bunch of different options. In this case, I would want to be going to LAX Terminal 1. So I would just click right on that. And you can see it will route out the drive for me. And it'll give me all sorts of different information here. So let's go through that from the top to the bottom. Up at the top, you can see it says the address that I'm starting at. 2919 South Hoover is my address down here in Los Angeles. So it'll give you, if that's wrong, you can click on it and change it. However, in this case, it is correct. Next to that will be 9 minutes. 9 minutes is telling me how close the nearest driver is to me. So if I were to hail this ride right now, the driver would show up 9 minutes from right now. The black line signifies the route that we would be taking to get to LAX. And then finally, it says LAX Terminal 1 to highlight the destination. That's the final destination for the ride. Down here towards the bottom of the screen is the more important information, such as how much the ride is going to cost. Now, there's some important terminology that they use down here, specifically with what they call each type of car that you can hail. So at the very top, you can see Uberx is the selection that's highlighted right now. Uberx is the most basic form of Uber available. This is the one that you'll be using most of the time. Now, before COVID, Uberx had a capacity of 4 people. Right now, they're not letting people sit in the front seat, so all Uberx's have a maximum capacity of 3 people. We will expect after COVID to go back to a 4-person capacity in Uberx's, which for most circumstances is enough for most people. You can see that Uberx is at the top and the price for it right now is $30. Uberx will almost always be the cheapest option. There are very few situations in which any other option would be cheaper. Now, underneath that, you can see Uber XL, which essentially stands for extra large. Uber XL has a capacity of 5 people right now. However, during COVID, it would be 6 at least. Sometimes you can get lucky and get a very large car that can fit up to 8 people, but unfortunately, they won't tell you that. They'll only tell you that the capacity is 5 or 6 people. And you can see that that is about 50% more expensive than the Uberx, just because there's less of them around. Now, the next option down here is comfort. And essentially all a comfort car means is that it's going to be a little bit nicer. Uberx's are normally going to be Toyota Priuses or Corollas, not the nicest cars ever, but they are definitely comfortable enough. Ordering a comfort car, which you can see is a little bit more expensive, will just be a slightly nicer car, a slightly nicer model with maybe leather seats and better air conditioning. You can see in this case, it's not that expensive to go from Uberx to comfort. And so if that was something that was important to you, you could certainly select that. Scrolling down here, you can see it will further separate the different types of rides. You can see it's going to list Uberx and comfort and Excel again here. There's also Uber Green if you are very into eco-friendly cars. Uber Green will only put you in an environmentally friendly car, such as a Prius or an electric vehicle. You can see that the price difference between an Uberx and an Uber Green is not much, but in some cases it will be actually a notable difference. Also listed here, which I've never used and not that many people will use, is a Lime scooter. If you didn't want to have someone drive you, Uber actually also allows you to rent a scooter. And you might have seen these around town where there's just scooters sitting on the sidewalk. If I were to press on Lime scooter right now, it would show me where a public scooter is sitting on a sidewalk somewhere and give me access to ride that wherever I want to. And the way they do the pricing for that is how long you're on the scooter, which they can be kind of fun to drive around a city, but that's not the main functionality of the Uber app. And then, of course, they would like to get some more money out of you. So they also have premium options that you can choose. Down here are black SUV, and Lux cars. Now, these are all just depending on the requirement of the car in order for it to qualify as one of these different categories. An Uber Black car will normally be some sort of Lincoln Town car, and you can see it's much more expensive than simply getting an Uberx. I don't really recommend this unless it's very important that you be seen in a black car driving around. These are normally used by high-powered business executives. In my opinion, you can see that the capacity is the same. It's still just 3 people, but it's almost 3 times the price of an Uberx. Even more expensive is a black SUV. This is essentially the same as an Uber XL, except it'll only be essentially a Cadillac Escalade that's picking you up, which again, if that's something that's important to you, by all means, but there's low supply of these, and therefore you will have to be paying more to get inside of one of them. And then a Lux will only be a luxury car, and those are going to be super nice cars. Every now and then you might get lucky and get a luxury car just by getting an Uberx, which is the cheapest one. But if you need to get into a luxury car, you can press on that, and you can see it'll be much more expensive. The other thing to note about all these premium options is it will typically take a lot longer for you to get into one of these cars just because there's less of them on the road. So there's also a couple more options down here that are mostly accessibility options. Espanol, of course, if you're a Spanish speaker, you can get a driver that speaks Spanish. Assist, this can be helpful. There are certified drivers that are able to help you get into and out of the car if you have special requirements to be getting in and out. They're actually certified to handle those types of situations, and those can be helpful, and those will normally be about the same price as the other cars. And then WAV, that'll be for actual handicapped people if you need a wheelchair accessible car. Those are also cheaper. And then Select is a weird middle ground where it's nicer than a comfort car, which we talked about earlier, but less nice than this luxury or black car that we were talking about. There's a strange subset of cars that fit into this. They're mostly like Audis or Mercedes that you'd be getting into. So you can see there's a lot of options, and I did a lot of talking there. The main thing you need to remember is that you'll pretty much be bouncing in between an Uberx or an Uber XL, depending on how many people you need to be driving. So if I were to want to book this Uberx right now, all I would do is highlight it, and you can see it's slightly grayed out behind where it says Uberx. And then I'd come down here to press confirm Uberx. Now, when I do that, and I'm actually going to do it for us here, it will tell us, it'll ask me what payment method I want to use. I'll just check my credit card, which I'm used to using. And then I'll exit out of that. I'll press confirm. Once you press confirm, it'll come to this screen, and this can be a little bit confusing. It will give you this little black pin with a circle on top of it. And what you need to do is drag this pin to the very specific point where you want to get picked up. So technically speaking, my apartment is all the way back here on this blue dot, but this is an alleyway that the Uber driver couldn't access next to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move my pin out to this street, and all I'm doing is swiping on the screen to move it around. But I'm going to move the pin out to this street to tell him that this is where I want to get picked up, not back here, because that could cause some confusion. So I'm going to place that there, and then all I would do is press confirm pickup on the bottom here. Now, I'm not actually going to confirm the pickup because I don't want to spend $30 to go to LA, but all you need to do is press confirm pickup, and then it will notify you of what your driver looks like and what their license plate is and what type of car they're driving. And all you have to do is navigate out to your pickup point and wait for that car to show up. General practice, you should always go up to the driver before getting in and just confirm that they have the right name. My suggestion there is, instead of going up and saying for Max, I would say, who are you picking up, and make sure that they actually have your name, which they do have access to if they're a legitimate Uber driver. And then once you're in, you can just go into their car, they'll drive you your destination, and there's nothing you have to do from then on. You can just get out at your destination. The next time you open up the app, it will ask you if you want to tip your Uber driver, and it'll ask you for a rating for them. I would say always give them 5 stars unless something awful happened. As long as it was at least a mediocre ride, 5 stars goes a long way for these drivers. And then it is customary to leave some sort of tip depending on how long the drive was. And that would be your entire process there from beginning to end. So just to review that, what we did, it looks like it's glitching out. So I'll come back in. The entire process was I knew what my destination was. So I pressed where to down here. I typed it in LAX. I selected the type of car I want, which is an Uberx. I selected where my pickup spot was, and then I pressed confirm pickup. And from there, all you have to do is wait for your car to show up, get in, and enjoy your ride. And that is the main functionality of Uber. Now, there are other things in here, such as ordering food or groceries. However, you normally won't want to be doing that. You'll normally just want to be getting a ride. And the best way to do that is to press where to. Other than that, there's not much else to Uber. Once you get it set up, it will stay signed in for you. So you'll never need to sign back in. It'll save your payment information. So you'll only need to enter that in one time. And it'll just be ready to go for you whenever you need it. Now, let's move on to Lyft. We won't spend as much time on Lyft because it's almost the exact same process. But when we open up Lyft, you'll be greeted with a very similar screen to Uber once you first download it. All you'll do is press get started, put in your phone number just like we did with the last one. And again, if you don't have it set up already, it will ask you for personal information at this point, including getting your payment information set up. Now, if you somehow bypass the payment information, you can get that set up by going up to these 3 lines in the top corner and then coming down to payment and then going in and adding in a payment method down here, which is very similar to how Uber works. You'll see that these two apps are almost exactly the same. This is our home screen for Lyft, and it's exactly the same as Uber, where all you'll do is come down to search destination, type it in. Let's say we're going to LAX again. We'll just type in LAX. And then I will select, let's just say we're going Allegiant Air here. I'll press confirm, and you can see it looks almost exactly the same to Uber. It'll show you current location to your destination at the top. It will show you your route as well as your pickup location and your arrival spot. Both Uber and Lyft will show you generally where current drivers are around you. That's what all those cars are on the screen right now. But down here, you can see all of the different Lyft options. Lyft, their equivalent of Uberx, which is the economy version that we were talking about in Uber, is just called a Lyft. And you can see it'll actually give you different pickup options here. There's priority pickup, which will send you the nearest driver over other people. Standard pickup, which is normally what I would do because it's normally pretty quick. Or you can actually save some money if you've planned ahead and you want to wait 10 to 25 minutes. You can see in this case, that would save me about $5. But scrolling through, you can see that there's also a preferred option, which would put you in a slightly nicer car. And then there's our equivalent of Uber XL, which is called Lyft XL. Exact same thing. It can seat 5 people or 6 after COVID ends, and will be a little bit more expensive. And then exactly the same as Uber, there's the Lux version as well as the Lux Black and Lux Black XL, which are all exactly the same as the descriptions I gave earlier. And then you can also get a scooter for your trip if you would want to. Lyft has the added feature of showing you public transit options for getting to your destination. These are a little bit tricky, but they will give you direct directions and costs for getting to wherever you're going using different public transit methods. I normally wouldn't use that. And then every now and then you might be able to have an e-bike option as well. But that's a whole lot of stuff that you'll never really be using. For the most part, you'll be using just your standard Lyft here with the standard pickup. And just like Uber, if you press select Lyft, you would press continue. You would confirm your pickup spot just like we did before by moving this pin. Again, it's almost exactly the same as Uber. And then you would press confirm and request down here. Now, just like Uber, as soon as you've confirmed it, it'll show you your driver, their car, and their license plate. You'll wait for them to show up. You'll get in the car, and it'll take you where you're going. And that is essentially the whole process. And then we'll just review that one more time. So we open up we press on, well, in this case, it took me right where I was, but we'll press on search destination, type in where we want to go, confirm the location, select whatever car we want. In this case, we want a standard Lyft with standard pickup. You'll select it, confirm your pickup spot by dragging this around. And then as soon as you press confirm and request, it will match you up with a driver. So the last thing I'll say about it, as you can see, it's pretty straightforward and it's almost exactly the same process for both apps. What I would recommend everyone does is get both of the apps, because especially if you're in a busy situation, maybe you're getting picked up after a concert or some sort of sporting event, Uber and Lyft can have radically different prices for the same ride. So what I do anytime I'm hailing a ride, as long as it is somewhat expensive, a lot of the time the rides will be $6 or $7. But if you're seeing that Uber is quoting you for $80 for a ride, what I would do is always go to Lyft and have that set up so you can cross-check their pricing, because a lot of the time Lyft's prices will be a lot cheaper than Uber or vice versa. So it is a direct competition, and you can see which one is cheaper before you confirm your ride, just because every now and then they can get a little bit expensive, and you can save 10, 20, or 50% by switching to the other service provider there. So overall, that is an overview of Uber and Lyft. I would recommend everyone get it set up just by following the steps that we went over today and start using it, because it is such a great feature, especially now that more people are returning to work. There's a lot more Uber drivers out on the road. So you'll pretty much always be able to get connected with a driver within a couple of minutes. And let me tell you, just from using it all the time, it's one of the best apps on the App Store right now. It is so incredibly helpful. So hopefully that addressed any of the questions that anyone had. Sharon, are there any other questions that people have?
I think that is a very thorough explanation of both of those applications, and I really appreciate it. And I know that all of my seniors really appreciate it too. So thanks so much, Matt. And we'll be getting back to you.
All righty, perfect. So hopefully that answered any other question, but if you have specific questions regarding your specific situation, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions.
And before we let you go, though, I want to know, what is your availability? I know that you can sort of take control of people's screens so that you can help them, even though you're, hundreds of miles away.
That's absolutely right.
Talk a little bit about what services you still can provide to the seniors.
Right. So I've been doing this for the last couple of weeks since I moved down here. I am offering remote tech help services right now, and they're just over a Zoom video, just like what Sharon and I are doing right now. And it'll actually allow me to take control of your device remotely. And what I found is about 85% of issues that people have, I'm able to help remotely resolve them. So right now, the standard protocol will be, if you're having any troubles at all, shoot me an email or give me a call. I'll get back to you and we can brainstorm to see if I think that that's something I can help remotely with, which a lot of the time it will. And I've been doing, a good amount of these a week lately, and they've been going pretty successfully. If not, still contact me if we determine that it's not something I can help with remotely. I do have a consultant in the area right now who can help with the issues that I'm not able to do remotely, and he can come in person and take care of those. But the process right now is still contacting me directly if you ever have any issues, and then we'll decide together whether it'll be me helping you remotely or my consultant in person. And any range of issues is totally fine. Just let me know. Most of the time, I'll be able to get you a solution in some capacity.
Thanks so much, Max. That's great.
Of course.
Well, everyone have a great day, and I will too. It's my birthday today. So I'm very happy to be with you all on my birthday. So bye-bye, everyone.